Join UF Hall of Famer and 14-year NFL vet Shane Matthews every weekday as he brings you all you need to know about your Florida Gators, including news, analysis, and opinions with some of the biggest names in sports. Find us on Spotify, Apple Podcast, Google Podcast, or wherever you listen to your favorite podcast. Or watch us live at 8 a.m. on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter.
Good morning. Welcome to a Thursday edition of Podup with Matthews in the Morning from the Crime Prevention Security System Studios. Large enough to serve you, small enough to care. It's Thursday. That means we have Brent Beaird, a college football analyst. Gators crank up in the SEC basketball tournament. Today, I think it's a 1 o'clock tip against Mississippi State. And we'll see if they can make a little run. But March Madness is in full effect. A lot of conference tournaments got kicked off yesterday, and we'll continue through the weekend and Selection Sunday this weekend. Let's go to the Titan More Hotline, and we're joined by our college football analyst and Heisman Trophy voter, Brent Beaird. Good morning, Brent. How you doing, bud?
I'm doing well. Enjoying the 46-degree weather here in the Jacksonville area, which is a really refreshing. Excited about the SEC tournament that continues today. You're right. Florida-Mississippi State is at 1. One of the bigger games today is Arkansas and Auburn. Vandy plays Georgia. They play LSU, which is a bit of a surprise in that one too. So it's fun to get it going, and spring practice is going too around the SEC.
Yeah, it really is. We'll talk about the different teams that are cranked it up. Some get started here pretty soon. But in your notes, I think it was a little surprising to me, but college football attendance has gone up since last year, which, with COVID and everything and with every game being on TV, did that surprise you at all?
Immensely, frankly. I give Dennis Dodd credit for this. But it is up 5%. This year, which sounds pretty minuscule, but that is important. It's significant that it indicates the second highest per game rise in history. They've been keeping attendance figures since 1978. So again, no surprise, the SEC led attendance for the 24th year in a row. And I think it's also interesting, he just threw some different guesses as to why going to games, tickets are easy to get on your phone. Obviously, they sell alcohol here. And then another, I think, very valid reason is 7 of the top 9 largest stadiums, the teams that played in those, Georgia, Ohio State, Michigan, for instance, all made the college football playoff. So, Shane, does that surprise you a little bit too? It came out last night, and just thought that that was a bit of a shot in the arm for college football.
Yeah, I mean, because you think that college football attendance has gone down just due to, people complaining about the schedules, their home games, playing the cupcakes, what have you. And I always look at it from, every freaking game you want to watch is on TV. So,
sure.
But that's great. That's great that fans are getting out and going to watch. There's nothing like college football and a weekend on campus. Brent, I guess the biggest off-season news has been this, let's shorten the college football game. It kind of bothers me. I understand it takes a long time sometimes, but I hate rule changes where, it has to do with the clock. What do you think is going to happen? When are they going to decide on this?
Yeah, the Oversight Committee is going to be voting on April the 20th. So what they're recommending from the Football Rules Committee or 3 changes: no back-to-back timeouts, that will be icing the kicker, no untimed downs at the end of the first and third quarters, and the biggest one, frankly, that would affect the game is running the clock after the ball is spotted after a first down. Now they're guessing that this would cut out about 10 plays per game. And again, as we've mentioned here, that they did a study that from 2018 to 2022, the game on average was 5 minutes more. Gee, Shane, I mean, is 5 minutes that big a deal? I don't think it is. I mean, it went from 3 hours and 16 minutes to 3 hours and 21 minutes. So, that is, and I know people complain about long games, and I get that, and they're not going to cut commercials, frankly. So the only thing that they can really do is do something with halftime, but the band deserve a chance to be on the field. And the other thing that they could do is to put a stopwatch, for lack of a better word, on the instant replay review. But all that work, Shane, remember, for 5 minutes.
Yeah, it baffles me. I don't really care how long a college football game lasts. I mean, you're the one that chose to go to it. You're the one that chooses to watch it. If you have a problem with it, just don't. I mean, I don't know why they have to change the rules because people are complaining about games being too long. I just don't get it at all. Celebration points where the Gators go to celebrate with premium brands like Nike, International Diamond Center, Dave & Buster's, Bass Pro Shop, Regal Cinemas, Pfizer's Rooftop, and the HBC's Restaurant Spurrier's Gridiron Grill. We'll see you at Celebration Point where the Gators go to celebrate. Speaking with Brent Beaird on the Titan MR hotline, that just chaps me, the whole, because I'm a huge proponent of the band. I think that's all of the pageantry of college football.
Yes.
The band before the game and the band at halftime. You know, the NFL games are all about the same time length because you have a 12-minute. As soon as that last guy is tackled and halftime starts, you have 12 minutes. And 12 minutes is a very short period of time, but you cannot do that in college football, and they just need to deal with it. But we'll see what happens. Brent, let's go around the league. As like I said, the SEC's in full force with spring practice. What can you tell us what's going on in Alabama?
Yeah, they have hired Liberty University assistant Robert Barma to coach inside linebackers. Salson Sari, who was on the field and they took him off the field, has been or expected to be hired for Colorado as a defensive tackles coach. He's a good football coach too. His son Vinny played at Alabama. Charlie Strong is coming back to Alabama as a defensive analyst. So some people thought that might happen, and it did. Now, Jaheim Otis, how about this, Shane? This is amazing. When he came to Alabama, he was 417 pounds. Now he is 100 pounds less, and he is at 316. That's still a pretty big player, isn't it, Shane?
Yeah, that's crazy. Congratulations to him for losing 100 pounds. That's a lot. And, big dudes like that like to eat. So obviously they put him on a good diet, a good nutrition plan to lose 100 pounds. Have you heard anything coming out of camp there, or have they started yet?
They haven't started.
We talked about it last week. We still all think Ty Simpson is going to be their quarterback, right?
Yes. Yeah. Now, but I would be very surprised if they named him the starter after the spring for Jalen Milroe. They like Milroe. He's a dual threat guy. But frankly, both Shane and I agree, he's just not very accurate. But Ty Simpson is. And as it was explained to me a few days ago, the difference between the two, and you would know more about this than me, is Ty Simpson allows you to use more of the playbook. And that's kind of something people say without criticizing the other guy. But I think there's some truth to that, isn't it, Shane? That if you got a quarterback who can make all the throws, it's pretty obvious you can do more with him, can't you?
Yeah, and it understands the playbook for sure. Arkansas, what's going on with the Hogs?
They start today. As a matter of fact, for the spring, Jaheim Singletary, who is a five-star cornerback from Georgia. He played in 3 games last year for Georgia, but didn't record any stats. He has transferred to Arkansas, so they're quite excited about that. Arkansas had the worst pass defense in the nation last year. Of all 131 teams, Arkansas was last, giving up 300 yards passing per game. There's one of them, and now, tell me if you've ever heard this, Shane. They were the worst team in the nation in pass defense, but they led the SEC in sacks with 42. I just thought that was a bit of an oddity. They've also got Trajan Jeffcoat from Missouri, so that's going to help them. New D coordinator with Travis Williams, too. So they're doing all they can to fix that defense. But that's kind of an unusual situation, Shane, when you're worse in one category and first in the other.
Yeah, that is very strange. Text on the Titan Mark text line that came in last night from Chris. He says, "Can we make it to the tournament if we win the SEC, or are we done?" No, if you win the SEC tournament, Chris, you are in automatically.
Yes.
So we'll see what happens there. I don't like our chances, but anything can happen. All right, Auburn started the spring first. They should be getting closer to their spring game. What are you hearing? How's the quarterback situation at Auburn?
Yeah, Robbie Ashford is still maybe the front runner. I mean, they're looking at everybody. TJ Finley's still there, the LSU transfer. Holden Grinner is also there, but as big a deal for them as redoing the line of scrimmage, and particularly along the offensive line. They lost 6 guys on the offensive line last year that really helped them. They allowed 30 sacks last year because of the offensive line, so they've got to get that fixed. And they've got some transfers from Tulsa, Western Kentucky, and Eastern Carolina, and they need to do the same thing with the defensive line. So I would say right now, tremendous amount of questions at Auburn. I mean, I think they've had a good spring so far. They've got a lot of tall wide receivers, 6'5" in Landon King, 6'3" in Camden Brown, a couple of 6'1" guys in Malcolm Johnson and Coy Moore. I got some big tight ends, Brandon Frazier, 6'7". I won't go into all of them, but that's one thing that's going to help them. But they really let offensive line recruiting become a problem. So that's probably the number one goal this year for the spring is a line of scrimmage.
Are you in the market to buy or sell your home? Darlene Weeby, a realtor with Caldwell Banker MM Parish, will provide you with fast, friendly, reliable service. Give her a call at 352-562-1411 to help your dreams come true. Brent, Gators are cranked it up. They've had a few practices. What can you tell us coming out of Gainesville?
Yeah, Jamarcus Weston has changed positions, going from wide receiver to the secondary. Billy Napier said that leaves them with 9 scholarship receivers and brings the safety total to 9. So they're trying to get that balanced a little bit too. I think, to me, the biggest thing that happened was the tight ends coach, Russ Callaway, who's a defensive intern. Now, he was with LSU as an offensive assistant at one point. To me, the most significant thing here, he spent 5 seasons at Samford, serving as their offensive coordinator and quarterbacks coach, and wide receivers coach, and did a good job with them. I know a lot of people don't know about Samford, but Samford's got a good football team. They've had, in their division, they've had some real success over the last few years. So hopefully Callaway will be able to help them along that line. So Still trying to figure out the coaching staff, but I've talked to some media who've been over there, and they've been impressed with the facilities. They've been impressed with the coaches, and hopefully this will be a better spring.
Yeah, no doubt. And it looks like Graham Mertz will probably be the starter. I've heard a lot of good things coming out of camp from him. It's training camp, or I mean, spring practice. So
Sure.
very accurate with the football, knows where to go with it. So we shall see. All right, the Dogs. Boy, they've had a lot of mess this off season.
Yes. Yeah, they really have. Now there have been some good things that come out of this. Ra Thomas, who came over from Mississippi State, has actually been cleared. This involved a domestic violence battery type thing that they're still trying to figure out. But for whatever happened, he's been cleared of it, and that's going to make a big difference for them. I mean, he caught 44 passes for 626 yards at Mississippi State. This is going to be a pretty good wide receiver room, too. Dominic Lovett, and this is a great stat for him. He was the only Division I wide receiver with at least 50 catches and 0 drops. So, Shane, I give Kirby a lot of credit. He knew they'd have losses in wide receiver and decided to do something about it early. So both those transfers, and they get Ladd McConkey back, Marcus Rosemy-Jacksaint back, Dylan Bell, Arian Smith, and then along with those big, humongous tight ends, that passing game may be good.
It could be. There's no question. It's interesting. I want to say, was it last year that Kirby did they not bring in one player from the transfer portal the previous year, but this year they have? Am I wrong about that, Brent?
Yeah. They've done better with that this year. And again, he's not against it. He just normally is not going to bring in a dozen of them like Lane Kiffin does at Ole Miss. They'll pick and choose. And he continues to do that.
Yeah. Kentucky's not playing a spring game this year, correct?
Correct. Third time in 4 years. I think that I hate that for their fans, but they will not have a spring game again this year due to turf replacement. I'm not sure why you can't replace the turf after the spring game, but that's the way that it is. Now, they're pretty excited about spring. They are up and going. Also, who are the running backs? Chris Rodriguez is not there. Jatu McLean is a guy that they think is going to help them. Ray Davis is transferring in from Vanderbilt. Now, Devin Leary, their new quarterback transfer, has a pectoral muscle, but he's close to being healthy. So they like him too. Now, they're not sure who the backup's going to be to Leary. Deuce Hogan, Kaya Sharon, Destin Wade, or guys that they're looking at. And I know you remember, obviously, having broadcast the Kentucky-Florida game a season last year that we thought they may win double-digit games. It got off the rails because the offensive line, and they're working hard with the offensive line. But, again, no spring game, which is somewhat of a disappointment for them.
Yeah, for sure. Brent, LSU, would you say right now, do you think they're going to be the favorite to win the West when we go to media day?
Either LSU or Alabama will be the favorite. Now look, this bunch is going to be good now. Jaden Daniels comes back at quarterback. He did well. Basically, the offensive line comes back almost intact. That is something that's going to help them. Also, defensive lineman Mason Smith, who got hurt at the beginning of the year in the Florida State game, he is back. really good player. Also, they lost a lot of their cornerbacks. They've got Denver Harris from Texas A&M as a transfer who comes in. Syracuse transfer Darian Chestnut. And they've got a transfer from Ohio State, J.K. Johnson, in the secondary. So that is really going to help them too. Now, they also added Mason Lunsford from Maryland like this week. Obviously, he started. So they're very happy about that. Harold Perkins comes back, the wrecking ball on the defensive side of the ball. And by the way, Mason Lunsford coming over from Maryland, started for them for 2 years, played in 29 games, 26 starts. So, look, you lay all that out, and then they've got Aaron Anderson coming over from Alabama at wide receiver. Shane, is any wonder why people are going to be high on LSU?
Yeah, they have a chance to have a big year, no question about it. Brent, Mississippi State, I didn't realize. I mean, obviously they started practice, new coach, new staff, everything. Will Rogers has been an air raid guy his entire life. They're going to come in. It's more of a pro style quarterback run friendly type deal. I didn't realize Mike Wright, the quarterback from Vanderbilt, transferred there.
Yeah, he sure did. He'll be backing up Will Rogers. I mean, look, Mike. I mean, you've seen him. I mean, he's not terrible. He's made some plays when he was at Vanderbilt. He is a true dual threat guy. It kind of makes you wonder, Shane, if they'll have some kind of a package for him in this new offense to go along with it. So, and I think the guy they've got to replace is Emmanuel Forbes at cornerback. That's going to be the biggest hole. But would it be safe to say that State would be one of the more interesting teams next year, having changed that philosophy on offense?
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how that all transpires. Brent, Tennessee, I know they had some issues with the previous or past coaches, got some show causes, or I can't remember, some violations. Can you tell us what's going on there?
They recently had 4 of their staff people that received a multi-year show cause for recruiting violations. This came out and had been, folks thought this was coming out pretty much at any time. I mean, you've got inside linebackers coach, outside linebackers coach, director of player personnel, and student assistant. All those guys reached some kind of agreement, and the school did with the NCAA for show cause. Now, there has not been anything decided or announced on Jeremy Pruitt, who was the coach with these recruiting violations. A lot's been said about him possibly going to Alabama in some capacity. Now, they start spring practice on the 20th of the month, so they're a little bit later, spring him on April the 15th. So slowly coming out about the decision on all these recruiting violations in basically the understanding they've got with the NCAA.
Brent, before we get you out of here, time goes by way too fast. Give us a few nuggets.
This is almost amusing, but Missouri has their spring game next week.
Wow.
Yeah, they've got a new offensive coordinator, Kirby Moore, who is Kellen Moore's brother, comes in. Kirby Moore was at Fresno State. So they're hoping that they're going to have a good offense. Now, again, at quarterback, this is interesting. Brady Cook's going to be the quarterback, but he had a torn labrum. And Jake Garcia from Miami transferred there. A guy named Sam Horn is also in the mix. He also plays for the Missouri baseball team. Luther Burden, you remember him last year, Shane? Luther Burden at wide receiver, slot receiver, is coming back. So offensively, I think they could be pretty good. All in all, Lavase Carroll, who started at Georgia, then transferred to South Carolina, is retiring from football for medical reasons. So that's a bit of a blow for them. And we don't have time for a lot here, but just safe to say, Florida State and Miami are both up and going. So I think it's going to be a very interesting spring for both those teams, and we'll get into them more a little bit later on. But tremendous optimism again for Florida State. They're having a really good spring. I think the big thing with Miami is they've hired Shannon Dawson to be their offensive coordinator, and he's bringing in some of the air raid principles. Yep. He's an air raid guy with Tyler Van Dyke. So we'll get updated more on that as it goes. But, Shane, it's fun to have so many teams in spring and got a few more about to start.
No doubt. Brent, we appreciate your time again. Enjoy the TPC this weekend. Should be a lot of fun, and we will talk to you next week.
Good. Always enjoy it, pal. Take care.
And that's Brent Beaird, our college football analyst. Join us on the Titan MR hotline at Chris Doring Mortgage. They do mortgage lending right, helping home buyers throughout Gainesville and North Central Florida. Call Chris Doring Mortgage today at 352-244-0840. We're going to take a timeout. Come back. We'll be joined by, I believe, Seth Hart, or maybe it's Kyle Crooks. I never know. Just stay tuned and you will find out, folks. You're watching and listening to Podup Matthews in the Morning from the Crime Prevention Security System Studios. We'll be right back.
Yeah.
Thanks, Brent.
We want to take this moment to thank our sponsors who keep the show going and pay the bills. Our premium sponsors are Crime Prevention Security Systems, large enough to serve you, small enough to care. Titan MRI, Gainesville's only locally owned and operated MRI facility. Meldon Law, the only official injury and accident law attorneys of the Florida Gators. Peaceland Dental, Gator Nation's first choice for dentistry in Port Charlotte. Comfort Temp, comfort is our business, peace of mind is our promise.
Campus USA Credit Union.
QC Kinetics, live pain-free with QC Kinetics. Dave & Buster's, eat, drink, play, and watch. Our gridiron sponsors are Auto ER, UF Bookstores, Celebration Point Town Center, Chris Doring Mortgage, Silverback Concrete Co., Ruse Ogre State Farm Insurance, Doreen Wibby, Realtor Caldwell Banker, MM Parish. Our touchdown sponsors are Adams Ribs, Gator Dominoes, Celebrate Primary Care, Gator Bait Media, Okido America, Style Cuts, Ironwood Golf Course, Big Mills Cheesesteak, McDonald's of Gainesville, 84 Lumber, Tropical Smoothie Cafe, Aver and Smith, Dowling Signs, Baker's Sporting Goods, Silver Cube Billiards and Sports Bar. If you're interested in promoting your business on the show, call Freddie at 352-284-3733. If you like what we're doing here, make sure to follow us and support the businesses that support us.
Hi, Steve Spurrier here. You know, making a reservation at my restaurant is easier than a Saturday afternoon homecoming game against Vandy. You don't have to call or email. Just go to spurriers.com, hit the reservation button, pick a date, a number of guests, and a time. It's so simple, I can do it. In fact, I just did. Maybe I'll see you tonight.
Second half, Podup Matthews in the Morning. We have a very special guest today. I'm Kyle Crooks, but we got traveling today, Gator great, one of the best people I've met in broadcasting. I know he's starting a whole new career in broadcasting, doing a great job, but obviously one of the most beloved Gators. We all know him. He joins us now, Patrick Young. Patrick, how are you, man?
I'm doing great. I can't complain. Just crossing the Dames Point Bridge here in Jacksonville. And just starting this beautiful day. I'm going to get a chance to go to TPC, watch some golf a little bit today. So it's a great Thursday. It's a great Thursday.
Are you a golfer? Like, did you play a lot yourself too, like coming up?
Yeah, absolutely. My dad's a golf coach.
Okay.
And my sister, she ended up My sister played golf at Florida State. She actually, she played 4 years at Florida State. But yeah, I played a lot. Baseball was my first sport, so baseball swing and golf swing kind of couldn't mix together very well, very well. So I had to put the golf stick down for a while, stuck to baseball, and then obviously I stopped playing baseball and went to full-time basketball. So then I picked up golf again, and I started before my accident. I was actually getting pretty good. I got down to about a 10 handicap, which was great for me.
I just couldn't deal with the frustration of it, Patrick, because I was the captain of my high school golf team. And after that, I just gave it up because you know what? I got enough frustrations in my life than hooking the ball into the woods and shooting high scores. It's just I had to do something else in my life, so I gave up golf. But obviously, here to talk a lot of basketball. Patrick, SEC tournament starts last night. You got Ole Miss, LSU winning the first 2 games, but you've been able to cover this league all year long. Back in studio, doing a great job for the SEC network. What have been your overall observations of the league and maybe how deep it's been, how good it's been, and what the expectations are for the NCAA tournament and maybe what you have here in the SEC tournament in Nashville?
Well, the first thing that and maybe it's controversial, but I think it's great for the league. This is no longer just Kentucky's league, for sure. That Kentucky is still good, still a team that is relevant on the national level, but it's not in the sense where Kentucky's going to go on those spans where they win the SEC, 8 out of 10 years or something like that. Alabama's here to stay, Arkansas is here to stay, Tennessee, Texas A&M and Buzz Williams, what they're doing. Really hope what Dennis Gates and what he's achieved at Missouri, that they're going to continue to be relevant in that top 5 SEC conversation as well. But outside of that, there's great talent, a great number of freshmen in this league, which I've had a chance to watch these guys, and just great character players for the most part. Obviously, we know what happened with the really, really tragic, unfortunate Brandon Miller situation and Darius Miles. But, outside of that, just great kids all around, just competing for their coaches, a lot of eccentric personalities, a lot of teams just coming. And, me being a Gator, I always, growing up playing, just didn't have any admiration or respect. I guess maybe there's a level of respect for other programs, but I always just wanted to beat those teams. But now being in a position where we get to know the coaches and see these players and styles of play, there's a great level of respect that you do achieve. You do come to with these other programs and organizations. Really respect the heck out of Buzz Williams and Jerry Stackhouse and what they've been able to accomplish. But no, the league is deep. I'm not surprised that there's potentially 8 teams in the league. Just hope that they do better job than last year, because I think there was 5 teams in the tournament and only 1 ended up making it to the Elite 8. Yeah, that's my first takeaway. And I think that's a big one, that this is not just Kentucky's league anymore.
Yeah, for sure. And the interesting thing about Alabama, Patrick, because this was trending to be a generational team. You have the thing with Darius Miles, or obviously now Brandon Miller's part of the situation. He's going to have to continue to answer questions about that as they make their postseason run here. And it doesn't seem like just a whole lot of good is coming from any of that, and how Brandon Miller's dealing with it, how the fans are going to react to him, Patrick. But this was slated to be a team that almost was written in for the Final Four. You've been on many teams. In terms of distractions, this is another level of distraction. But how do you think maybe this swerves them off their path of what could have been a team that you write into the Final Four?
Well, certainly it is something that is never going away, and honestly, it shouldn't, because it's not as though it was something where it wasn't a victimless crime that was committed, and obviously Brandon Miller is not charged with anything. But it is a fact that he was in a vehicle that transported the weapon that ended up being used to take the life of the young lady. but it's going to hover around the air of this team wherever they go. And it's unfortunate that, being 18 years old, he's going to hear these lock him up chants from time to time. I feel terrible for Nate Oates as well. It's a situation you don't prepare for as a coach. You understand that distractions and things happen, but this is one that I don't think there was any preparation. I think that the lessons learned, and hopefully for the next generation and or the next class and kids and all around the country, is just be very wise with who your friends are and the decisions that you make. Even if though you're not a part of something, you can still be, you can just avoid having yourself in these situations at all by just making a decision to say no and stay home. But yeah, for them, they still are a great team. I think they've had some slippage as of late. The ball just hasn't been dropping in the basket as well for them. I think since all this has happened, them losing to Texas A&M, they were like 1 of 17 from 3 in the first half. If they, Alabama, they're one of the most dangerous. If they can shoot the ball well, and I'm not saying they have to make 15 threes a game, but if they're knocking down between 8 to 12, I think they're as good as anybody and can still make the Final Four. But if they get cold, I don't think they have a chance.
Yeah, it's going to be a very interesting postseason for them. SEC Player of the Year, put Brandon Miller aside. Who do you think had the best year in the league in your eyes?
Oh, man. I really think in consideration, you got to look at one of two guys. You got to look at Kobe Brown, and then you have to look at Wade Taylor as well. I think those two, also Shea should always be in that conversation, but he wasn't as dominant as he had been last year. He had like 3 20 and 20 games and just was a complete force. But I think Kobe Brown, with his newfound unreal shooting ability, and then Wade Taylor, his takeover ability and what he's, A&M going 15 and 3. I think they were my next in line to be guys that should be in that Player of the Year conversation. It's just hard to beat Brandon Miller when he's led the league in 3-point percentage and made threes and points, and almost at double, almost average a double. Is right at 8 rebounds a game, so it was difficult to take that away from him.
Mm-hmm. And Coach of the Year, I think that was, Dennis Gates did an incredible job at Missouri. And nobody saw what A&M's done this year, correct? Like what they've done this season.
Yeah, no, I certainly think Buzz Williams definitely should have won the award. I think Jerry Stackhouse was a little bit of a surprise for me. Even I think it should, in my opinion, and I love Stack. I think what he did this year, them making it being a top 7 team in this league. But for Missouri, a team that was completely brand new team, only brought back really Kobe Brown, their style of play. They won some big time games, projected to be, bottom 3 in the league, and for where they ended up, I guess if that can go into consideration, but hats off to Buzz and Coach Stack, especially Coach Stack going in the Rupp Arena and getting that win. That was huge on senior night. But if Nate Oates, I was thinking Nate Oates if they would have gone undefeated, I think they would have gotten it. You can't take away from a coach when they go undefeated, but they weren't able to do that. And crazy.
Yeah,
Buzz Williams certainly deserved it, though. Absolutely.
Yeah, sweating through the 3-piece suit. He's
man, right?
He's an energy man. But they've had such a good year. He's revitalized that program that's kind of been in the dumps the previous few years. So good for Buzz. Vanderbilt, Patrick, they apparently, they need to win some games here for consideration for the NCAA tournament here. Do you think Vanderbilt makes a run in the SEC tournament to make the big dance?
Well, it's ironic, man. They're going to have to go right back through Kentucky.
Sure. Yeah. Good point.
Oh man, that doggone LSU loss, man. How did they lose to LSU? That killed them. I think they'd be in right now if it were not for, or at least they'd be on that last 4 out where they just got to maybe do a little bit of damage in the SEC tournament. But they've proven themselves. I think what hurts them with having to go through Kentucky, they're not a great rebounding team. If Liam Robbins, I know he sprained his ankle pretty good against Kentucky. If he can somehow play and he can be healthy and bring what he's been bringing, at least bring half of what he's been doing these last few weeks, I think they can walk away and win this game, because Oscar, he struggles against length and height, and also him having to defend someone like Liam Robbins who can really shoot the three. You know, I never liked playing a 5-man that can shoot the three as well. But without Liam Robbins, I think it's going to be really difficult neutral field, neutral court, and we know Kentucky fans travel anywhere and everywhere, so it's going to be more of a home game for them. But yeah, Vandy's they're gonna need to at least win 2 of these games, and Kentucky is certainly one of them.
Yeah, absolutely, and it's going to be a fun tournament. And let's shift to the Gators here, Patrick, because it's been certainly I don't know,
tumultuous.
Tumultuous year. You lose your best player in Colin Castleton. So Colin won the USA Today SEC Player of the Year. Didn't win the coaches SEC Defensive Player of the Year. The last Defensive Player of the Year, I think you know who he might be. That's the guy on your screen right now. Colin, just how bummed were you when you saw the news about Colin? And I mean, he probably would be in the conversation for SEC Player of the Year too if he knocked out.
Man, I couldn't. I remember being in studio. They were playing. I can't remember what they were playing. But when it happened, I was like,
right?
Ole Miss. I was like, what happened? You know, you couldn't even tell. It was the weirdest thing that when I think broken hand, I'm thinking the medical term is foosh, falling on an outstretched hand. Like you go up, you get knocked off balance, and you reach down, and your hand just gets caught in an awkward position with all that body weight. It was literally just an exchange of a guy running past them, and I guess their hands, and nothing seemed violent about it. There must have already been some type of fracture in his hand, but heartbreaking, man, for him making that decision that he wanted to come back to make the tournament, and he was doing everything he could to will his team into doing so. And it's just, he'll have his 3 years here, and he never was part of a team that made the tournament. I believe. They made
a COVID year. The one when they had the bubble in Indiana. They beat Virginia Tech, lost to Oral Roberts. He was on that team. Yeah. Gotcha.
Oh, that was the tournament that got canceled?
Well, that was the year after. So the year after, remember, they did it in Indiana. They did it in like a bubble in all these different venues in the state of Indiana, whether it was like Butler, IU, those. And they remember because they beat Virginia Tech, and then that was the year they lost to Oral Roberts.
That was Oral Roberts. Yeah, that was Trey Mann's last game. Man, that's that dude. But yeah, man, heartbroken for Colin. It's just hoping the best for him moving forward, and he's been a great cheerleader for his guys on the sideline. Notes can be taken for people. He's not making it all about him. He's encouraging his guys, knowing that this is it. And I believe that the Gators are going to take the invitations to the NIT if they get that. So Colin will still be on the sideline cheering his guys on. Just more than anything, it hurts him more than anything to not be out there helping the team win. It just goes to show what kind of special player he was at this university and for this organization, especially these last 2 years. Without him, I don't think there's a remotely close to a winning record at all.
Yeah. Let's pay some bills here with some ads. Peachland Dentistry, Gator Nation's #1 choice for dentistry in Port Charlotte and surrounding areas. Visit them at peachlanddental.com and join us on Friday for Peachland Dentistry, JC and the QB weekend picks. A Comfort Temp. Comfort is our business. Peace of mind is our promise. Beat the summer heat and schedule your air conditioners tune up today, keeping you chill in Florida heat far away. Comfort Temp Heating and Air. Call us at 352-376-2366. And finally, Ruse Ogra State Farm Office is a team of dedicated insurance professionals ready to help life go right with the right insurance options for you and your family. Visit ugrainsurance.com or call us at 352-240-1779. I'm sure you've had a lot of fun watching Riley Kugel. I mean,
Yeah.
So he's hopped in since the Castleton injury. He's been the focal point of it all. And boy, he's looked really good, Patrick.
Yeah, and I hope he stays.
Yeah, you know what?
I hope.
That's the issue nowadays. Now, Riley said that he's committed, and it's one thing to say it now in late February or early March, but we'll see. We'll see. He's going to have his options.
We'll see because he's extremely young. He's a freshman. He's a winner. He's a competitor. He's got the size, the length, the athleticism. I mean, he just looks like an NBA player. He looks like a guy that's like, oh man, yeah, he's ready to go to that next level, and he's poised. He still makes some freshman mistakes, things that should not scare scouts away. It's things that you can just learn. He just has not played enough college basketball and learned a lot of much about the game, but his upside is incredible. Shoots the ball well, handles it, runs out, defends. I mean, seems to be not even remotely intimidated of the moment. You would think, a freshman coming into the situation where, all right, someone's got to step up, and he's like, oh, over to me. This is my time.
Yeah.
Extremely impressed by Riley Kugel and his story of just getting to Florida, because I know there was a issue with the clearinghouse and his numbers of credits, and Todd Golden. I mean, hats off to Todd Golden being able to do whatever it took to make sure the school was able to get him in. I think he had to take some summer classes before and he could enroll or something like that. But getting him in, and just hats off to Todd Golden and his eye for talent and his recruiting ability. But we need a lot more Riley Kugels coming in next year. I'll tell you that. Can we please get more of those?
He didn't have a summer with the Gators at all. Like, he didn't get to practice with them leading up to, in the off season, leading up to preseason practice. He didn't get a chance to play with the team at all. So it really is impressive what he's done. I think he's averaged 20 points over the last 4 or 5 games or something like that. He's been incredible. But thoughts on Todd Golden, Patrick? Year 1 for him. Boy, it's a big transition from where he was at San Francisco to the SEC. He was in the SEC, but now he's a head coach here. Like you said, that the roster is going to look a lot different next year. It's almost like you got to take the roster 1 year at a time. I think it's going to be a whole different team next year. The way he hits the transfer portal, he's probably going to hit it pretty hard. When you look at year 1 for him, what have you liked? What are some things you need to see from Todd Golden?
I think Coach Golden has done a fantastic job at just getting his guys to respond. Yes, there's been games where they haven't come out ready to play. They haven't come out super sharp or playing within their character. But as a coach, it's your job to figure out, how do I get my guys to respond and bounce back? And he's done that. He's found a way to get his guys to respond, and I think everyone enjoys him. He's a competitor as a coach. Obviously, there's areas of improvement for sure. I mean, got to bring some guys that can really shoot it next year. I think that's going to be key. I think what he was able to do with Myron Jones and helping him define his role after a guy that was at Penn State being a 16 point per game scorer and shooting the ball 40% from 3, to where he struggled to now he's being more of a guy on ball point guard guy that just doesn't turn the ball over and is able to find a role on both sides of the court to help the team. But yeah, I mean, we understand the expectation for Coach Golden. He understands the expectation is to get, obviously at minimum, to get to the tournament. And they fell short of that this year. But for him, he is not afraid of this moment. He knew the expectation and is going to do everything he can to bounce this team back and this organization back to being a tournament team and a contender next year, because it's possible. It's highly possible. I mean, look at Arkansas. If Arkansas doesn't have Trevor Brazile and Nick Smith Jr. get injured, I think they're right in the conversation for winning this league. Or look at Dennis Gates and what he was able to do with a completely new roster. So it's possible. It's just getting those right pieces together in the system, the flow. Obviously, we're not going to have Colin next year, so need to find another solid big. Doesn't have to be as good as Colin, but someone that's solid that can bring that presence and match up against the other talented big guys in the league. So he's got his work put up for him, but I don't doubt that this it's like of like, all right, I see what I really, really, really need to dive into doing this portal and coaching wise and strategically. But he's fought through this for this whole season, and I'm proud of him for that and can't wait to see what next year is going to hold.
Yeah, the era of the transfer portal, you can make big jumps from one year to the next. And, Patrick, we actually did the game together, Kennesaw State, Florida. I don't know if you saw it.
Yeah.
State won I've been on them all year. Like I'm all in on the Kennesaw State hype train here for the NCAA tournament. All 5 starters are back. They whizzed through the A-Sun, won the tournament, so they're going to be dancing, man. How about that?
I think you and I were like, hey, if Kennesaw was just like a little bit better, they would have beaten Florida that game.
Oh yeah.
Like they had the one guard that he had a great game and he was efficient. I'm like, he just needs a little bit more help. Maybe I'm like, watch out for these guys in the A-Sun. Because I follow the A-Sun a little bit just because I'm tight with UNF and JU here and UNF actually beat Kennesaw this year, but I'm not surprised by Amir Abdul-Rahim and what he's done with the pro, especially after they only won one game like 2 years ago. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
But
they had all 5 starters back this year. Like
all 5. Hey man, they got a chance. They got a chance to upset somebody. The right matchup. Somebody tries to sleep on those guys. They got a chance to get. I don't know if there'll be a 15 seed or a 14, but they got a chance to do it. I'm telling you.
Yeah, it could be done. They got the player of the year, defensive player of the year, coach of the year. So I'm just saying, I'm not a guy
call, man.
Prognostications, but that's my big sleeper. Now, do you fill out a bracket nowadays, or do you have a Final Four that you're going to have? Do you just kind of write one out for fun, or what's the deal?
Yeah, I'm supposed to. I think ESPN, they want all their employees to fill one out and make one of those little things where people can jump in your pool. And so I'll make one. I'll probably just hit the auto button. I'll hit the auto button, but I'll have my Final Four. Honestly, I think Marquette is going to make it. I think Kansas is going to make it. I like Houston to make it as well. And I like UCLA. I know I'm sleeping on Alabama, but I really like those 4. If Alabama matches up with Houston, I think they'll beat them again. But we'll see.
Yeah, you have a sleeper for the SEC tournament that people need to know. Do you have anybody who could run?
Well, I think with the momentum right now, my favorite to win it right now is A&M. But my sleeper team to do something crazy here is Vanderbilt.
Yeah, that's a good choice. I thought you were going to go with Vanderbilt there because you were talking a little bit about them beating Kentucky. Yeah. So, well, now I'm gonna be rooting.
It's possible, brother. It's possible.
Yeah, Stack has done an awesome job. Well, I wanted to end on this, Patrick, because it's been awesome getting to know you these last couple of years and doing games with you, and just to kind of see the inspiration you've been with the accident and the injury. And, can you just update Gator fans where you're at right now and your recovery process and how you're feeling?
Yeah, absolutely. So, part of this journey for me was been healing is, I'm heading to a speaking engagement just to talk to people about this journey that I'm going through and how it's transformed me. And I've evolved through it as a man and as a person, and just being so grateful. Somebody asked me the other day, what's the first thing you're going to do when you have the ability to walk again? Just speaking that into existence. And I'm like, you know what? Being able to stand up and shower. And you would never think that something so small as that would be something I'd really miss. But truly, it's small things like that I really miss doing. But recovery's going well. I'm going to Brooks Rehab here in Jacksonville 4 times a week, doing stuff in the pool, doing stuff with this Cyberdyne machine that's connecting to my nerves and allowing me to walk. So it's just a matter of continuing to stay patient and working at it. I'm a firm believer that if you want something to change, you have to change. You have to go after it. And I'm just striving to find success by being consistent. I think successful people do consistently what okay, average people do occasionally. So I'm just trying to be consistent and to do those things great every chance I get. And it's obviously the big picture is walking again, but I have to just take in those small wins day by day, so I don't get discouraged if things aren't going in the timing that I want them to. But the biggest thing of all of it, Kyle, is like life is now. I'm not going to wait till life for my life to start walking again. So I decide I'm going to be happy and choose joy. So I'm going to make the most out of my life right now and being a good father and friend and husband and all those things. And just hoping that when that chapter comes in the story of walking again, I have inspired others along the way.
Yeah, and it will happen. And it's been awesome to watch your recovery on social media and just see all the rigorous workouts you're going through, and nobody works harder than you. And I can say this honestly, that I haven't been around probably a better person than the guy you're watching right now, and Patrick Young. Very positive, just awesome spirit to be around. And Patrick, it's always great getting a chance to talk to you, chop it up, talk basketball. Always. I hope we get a chance to call some games together next year, and it's just great to see you.
I can't see why not. I got to make it up there for a baseball game.
There you go.
Or softball. Softball is more fun.
Well, look, we'll have tickets ready for you. We'll give you the VIP treatment when you come in. So get ready.
Yes, sir.
Appreciate it.
All right, my man. You have a great one. Appreciate you, Kyle. Have a great day.
All right. That's Gator great Patrick Young. We'll be back tomorrow with Podup Matthews in the morning. Everybody have a great rest of your day. See you.